Hello, I'm Jerry Willis, and this is Your Bottom Line, the show that saves you money. It's a buyer's market, but is buying a home the right move right now? We'll talk renting versus buying and what makes sense for you. Plus, jobs are still disappearing, but not everywhere. We'll take you to places that are hiring. And if you're green with envy at your neighbor's lawn, don't worry. How to get greener pastures the green way. Your Bottom Line starts right now. If you're in the market to buy a home, good news, you're likely getting a 20% discount right now. But for those looking to sell, that means the value of your home continues to decrease. According to the S&P Case-Shiller report released this week, home prices plunged a record 19.1% in the first quarter compared to last year, and that is across all 20 metro areas the index tracks. All but 3 reported a monthly decline in March, but things look especially grim in Minneapolis, Detroit, and New York. Those 3 saw record price declines. In Minneapolis, down 6.1%, Detroit down 4.9%, New York down 2.5%. With low prices, low mortgage rates, and tons of homes on the market, you may be wondering if now is a better time to rent than buy or buy than rent. Here to help us out is Dani Babb. She's a real estate expert. Good to see you, Dani.
You too. Thank you.
Well, let's get down to it. You know, a lot of people out there, they look at these low prices and they say, why wouldn't you buy now?
Right. No, that's absolutely the case. You have to look at the rent versus buy decision very analytically and from a numbers perspective. First of all, you want to know how long are you going to stay there. If you know, the longer the state you stay, the greater the benefit to you overall. The greater the tax benefit and the greater the chance that you're going to ride out this deflationary time in prices and get to a time when we have appreciation, which is important.
But Dani, can you really time the market here? You know, we always talk about how you can't time stocks. Is it easy to time the real estate market? And where do you go for the best information on prices in your area? Because after all, real estate is local.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you talked about the Case-Shiller index. That's only 20 metropolitan areas. If we look at, you know, suburbia, for example, or middle of the country, they may not be included here. Really, the best location as an advisor that I tell people to go to is City-Data. This is going to give them, it's on the internet, it's going to give them the last... For free, yeah, absolutely, very important. It's going to give them the last several years historical information in most cities, sometimes just a couple of years. What I look at is, what have prices done in the last 3 months? If they're pretty stable, this may be a time to jump in. Yeah,
and one thing to mention here, these prices are sort of in the rearview mirror. They're at least 3 months old, so they're not absolutely up to date, but then none of this data really is.
Exactly, and Case-Shiller is a great example of that. It's not, people are using it as an index, but it's not really all that current.
It's not real time because that's not the way these things get priced. You know, you say that if you're going to buy, and if you're making that buy versus rent decision, you've got to look at whether you're getting a substantial discount in the market, because everybody I know is trying to time this thing. They're saying, have we hit bottom yet? What do you mean by substantial discount?
Well, it's going to depend on the particular area, like you noted. That's where I use the city data, because they actually do look at even the very last previous month. So if the data looks like it's pretty stabilized, then getting something that's within that median price range for the neighborhood, I would consider to be a good deal. If it's not, and it's still on a downward spiral, like the areas that you mentioned, or like South Beach, California, even Idaho now is starting to take a dip. If it's in the decline stage, I personally would look at whatever the foreclosures are selling for, and I would want a resale market for that price, or I would just buy a foreclosure.
Okay, all right, because you can't get substantial discounts there, and that's what a lot of people are doing. We should note here, though, that sales are actually rising in some of these markets. The price is a lagging indicator. We're not going to see that turn up for a long time. But what do you make of the increases in sales across the country, and how would you use that to weigh in on whether to buy or rent?
Well, the median price dropped from $225 this time last year to $170 across the country. So a lot of people are realizing that, coupled with low interest rates, coupled with the first-time homebuyer credit, is a really good combination if we're going to stay in an area for a while to ultimately get a really good deal. So I think that's why we're starting to see sales go up. Also, historically, spring, they do.
Yeah, spring it's that time of the year. It is home buying season, right? After all, I mean, we've forgotten that entirely this year. Let's talk about the tax credit, because if you are in the market right now, you're thinking of buying, that $8,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers is the thing to watch.
It is, and also it's not just, a lot of people believe it's if I've owned a home, I'm excluded from it. If you haven't owned a home for 3 years, you are included in the tax credit. So that's something to look at. It's great. Plus, you can write off your property taxes, and you can write off the points that you pay on the loan. So all of that is not a loss.
And of course, that tax credit, the federal government working right now to make sure that you can use that tax credit perhaps as part of your down payment. You don't have to wait till you file your taxes to get that $8,000. It could really actually help you buy that home. Dani, Just briefly, what are the elements to figure out? What do I want to know if I'm making that big decision to buy or rent right now?
Job stability, are you going to be there for a while? Are jobs moving in or out of the area? If they're moving out, it may not be a very good time to stay. Tax benefits, and how long are you going to be there? And will the first-time homebuyer credit help you out?
Love that. Thank you, Dani, for helping us out today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.